the sound of blows and gasps, then the squeakings, and the destruction of the instrument intended for the measurement of baselines for an accurate map of the park. Sattell grew agitated. At Lockley's insistence, he wrote down every word. Then he said nervously that orders had come from Survey. The Army wanted everybody out of the Boulder Lake area. Vale was to have been ordered out. The workmen were ordered out. Lockley was to get out of the area as soon as possible. When Sattell signed off, Lockley switched off the communicator. He put it where it would be relatively safe from the weather. He abandoned his camping equipment. A mile downhill and 4 miles west there was a highway leading to Boulder Lake. When the park was open to the public it would be well used, but the last traffic he'd seen was the big trailer truck of the Wildlife Control Service. That huge vehicle had gone up to Boulder Lake the day before. He made his way to the highway, following a footpath to the spot where he'd left his own car parked. He got to it and started the motor. He moved with a certain dogged deliberation. He knew, of course, that what he was going to do was useless. It was hopeless. It was possibly suicidal. But he went ahead. He headed northward, pushing the little car to its top speed. This was not following his instructions. He wasn't leaving the park area. He was heading for Boulder Lake. Jill was there, and he would feel ashamed for all time if he acted like a sensible man and got to safety as he was ordered. Miles along the highway, something occurred to him. The baseline instrument had to be aimed exactly right for Vale or Sattell to pick up his voice as carried by its beam. Vale's or Sattell's instruments had to be aimed as accurately to convey their voices to him. Yet, after the struggle he'd overheard, and after Vale had been either subdued or killed, someone or something seemed to have picked up the communicator, and Lockley had heard squeakings, and then he had heard the instrument smashed. It was not easy to understand how the beam had been kept perfectly aligned while it was picked up and squeaked at. Still less was it understandable that it remained aimed just right so he could hear when it was flung down and crushed. But somehow this oddity did not change his feelings. Jill could be in danger from creatures Vale said were not human. Lockley didn't wholly accept that non-human angle, but something was happening there, and Jill was in the middle of it. So he went to see about it for the sake of his self-respect, and Jill. It was not reasonable behavior. It was emotional. He didn't stop to question what was believable and what wasn't. Lockley didn't even give any attention to the problem of how a microwave beam could stay pointed exactly right while the instrument that sent it was picked up and squeaked at and smashed. He gave that particular matter no thought at all. He jammed down the accelerator of the car and headed for Boulder Lake. End of Chapter 1.